16 years old. You're sitting in the middle of all your peers in your large youth ministry meeting. Your youth leader asks you to confess your deepest, darkest, most secret sin in front of everyone. What do you do? Greetings everyone, my name is Jesse and welcome to the Youth Hope channel, and hopefully you have never experienced something like that in your youth ministry, because what a nightmare. What do? You probably run out the door and never come back. Think about a different scenario. You're the youth leader, you spend an entire week writing and crafting the perfect sermon, good illustrations, good stories, funny jokes, a great biblical teaching. You get to your youth ministry meeting area and you set up one single chair in the center of your room. A little while later, the youth ministry starts and one student comes and sits down in that chair. And when it's time to give the sermon, you stand in front of that one student and you preach a powerful message. How incredibly awkward would that be? I'm here in Querétaro, Mexico, enjoying the sunshine outside today, where this evening we're going to be leading a youth ministry leadership training program for some church planters and university students. One of the topics of tonight's lesson is going to be what we call learning environments. Now, learning environment is simply a description of a context where learning is happening. So that can be determined by a lot of different factors. How many people are there, whether you're inside or outside, the size and shape and the things in a room, what the purpose of your meeting is. Lots of different factors create a learning environment. And you can see from the two imaginary scenarios that we talked about how the learning environment can drastically alter, for better or worse, the way a young person receives a certain type of teaching. In our training time tonight, we're going to talk about 5 different learning environments that we can observe from the life and ministry of Jesus. So we have large group, small group, one-on-one, focus time, and service. Each of those different learning environments is going to come with its own set of strengths and weaknesses. The first learning environment is going to be our large group, and it's easy to see the times in Jesus' ministry where he utilized gathering a large group of people together, like during the Sermon on the Mount or the feeding of the 5,000. And the positive side of that is you can gather lots of people to give them information very easily all at the same time. You don't have to have relationships with those people. You can meet strangers and people who are totally different than you, which is all good. The potential negatives to a large group meeting are that it's not very personal, it's not private, and most of the time you're a pretty passive participant in a large group. Second learning environment is going to be our small group, and you can see that the 12 apostles are a great example of this. Small groups are great for creating intimacy and building relationships among people. They're great for accountability and being able to share a little bit deeper with one another about what's going on in our spiritual lives. And the potential negatives to the small group is going to be you're going to be limited in your reach to how big the group is. They're often very closed groups as well, so it can be very difficult to bring new people into a small group setting. The next learning environment is going to be our one-on-one relationships, and you can see Jesus utilizing these with people like Nicodemus and the woman at the well, even Peter after the resurrection, and you can see the strength in those very specific personal conversations where the communication that's happening is very direct and personal to their needs and their situation, and there's a lot of strength to that. The potential negative side to the one-on-one conversations is that those relationships take a lot of time. You have to set aside specific times and places to meet with those people, which means you're also going to be limited in how many people you can effectively have one-on-one communication with in your ministry. Our next learning environment we're going to call focus time. And there's a couple examples of Jesus doing this with his disciples where he specifically takes them away from their normal day-to-day life to focus on one time of teaching and togetherness and to get away from the distractions. And you can tell there'd be a lot of strength to that, of taking young people away from their normal lives, giving them an opportunity to disconnect and free themselves from all the normal things that they're thinking about to focus on certain parts of their spiritual life. The negative side to that is it can require a lot of time and energy and resources to plan something like that. And additionally, that's not something we can do on a regular weekly basis. It's typically something we do once or twice a year as a special event type thing. And our final learning environment is going to be the area of service. And we see Jesus and his disciples obviously serving people everywhere they go. One great example is as Jesus sent out the 72 and gave them some specific instructions on what they were supposed to be doing. Service is excellent because you can't be a passive participant if you're serving other people. It's always active. You're doing something and you're learning through that act of service. It's a great way for young people to develop character and learn things about themselves and others that you really can't get in other ways. The negative side of that is going to be it requires a lot of planning sometimes. The kids might need additional training or preparation to be serving in certain capacities, and it can take a lot of commitment from young people, a lot of encouragement from the youth leader to the young people to really get young people passionate about serving others and doing these types of projects, which can be a challenge. So there you go. 5 different learning environments taken from the life and ministry of Jesus that can allow you to add depth and intentionality to your work with young people. So the question is, are you taking advantage of these different learning environments? So here's my challenge to you this week. Sit down, take out a piece of paper or your laptop, your phone, and start to make a list. List out everything you do or plan to do for your youth ministry on a weekly, monthly, and yearly basis. Put it all down. And then go back through that list and mark each item with what type of learning environment it is. And then start to determine what are the learning environments that you rely on the most? What are the learning environments that you use the least or maybe not at all? And start to evaluate how can you start to build your youth ministry and take advantage of the strengths of each of these different learning environments that will help you craft a plan for your weeks and your years to get the most out of your time with each young person God has placed in your care. Thanks again for stopping by the Youth Hope channel. We hope you enjoyed this video and we'd love to know what you think. So leave us a comment in the section below about how you use learning environments or maybe how you want to change how you use those learning environments. We hope God blesses your youth ministry this week.